Coach Pena here for the Football Engineer Podcast, and today we have Jose Chiva Cuevas, former USL Pro for Phoenix Rising, OKC Energy, the Fresno Zorros, and Charleston Battery, former Director of Operations at 1852, the Director of Coaching for Sigma XFC from Farmersville, California. How are you doing today?
Julian, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited for this.
Tell me a little bit about what you're doing right now. Sigma XFC as the Director of Coaching, and what's the long-term vision for that?
Yeah, it's a new club that we're trying to get into NorCal. Right now, we're strictly tournament-based teams. So what we're doing is we do these big name tournaments. We recently went to Arizona, we went to Hawaii with the boys side. On the girls side, we went down to LA. We won that tournament in the 2016 division, which they're young, so got a lot of little ballers there. So right now we're just doing that. We have Mayor's Cup coming up in February, and then in June we're planning to go to France.
Okay.
We're trying to do all these tournaments where we get, not just local talent, but talent all around the area, in the 209, in the Bay Area, everywhere. So we just want a platform to create opportunities for the players to play at top-notch levels. And I think when you put all the talent together and go to these tournaments, you get a lot of exposure towards scouts and everything like that. And I think that benefits the kids and the families a lot. So that's something that we're trying to do right now on the tournament side, right?
Okay.
And then obviously we have our local teams that we have here, which we're playing under an umbrella at the moment until we try to get our application and everything going in NorCal.
Okay, so long term, you would expect it to turn into more of a club type environment.
Yeah, so it's gonna be it's actually gonna be kind of like an academy style,
Okay.
right? We're trying to do it the European vibe,
Yeah.
where we want to make it like a soccer academy, or some people call it a soccer school.
Okay.
We want to get to the point where we even have classrooms and the kids are there, in classrooms 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, whatever it is, and then they go to the field and work, because soccer goes beyond the field. It's taking care of your body. It's all the nutrition, all the recovery, the preparation, the soccer IQ. Some kids are visual learners,
Yeah.
and so when they see video and whatnot, it really helps them out. So we're trying to check all the boxes of how we can have these kids be successful.
And then I know you do some great work with Tequala FC up in Fresno. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that's for Sigma, it's the youth, and then I also have Tequala, which is the adults, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of Fresno players, a lot of Visalia players. We have players that even come from San Jose. The owner is Osvaldo Banuelos. He's pretty much the one that puts all the money towards it. And what I mean by that is we do like big money tournaments and stuff, and so we bring ex pro players, current pro players. And really, it's a platform for like all the college kids
Okay.
to come in and really learn from players such as like Quincy. Quincy, he played for Quakes, he played Chicago Fire, he played at DC United, played with big names like Wayne Rooney and whatnot. And so when we bring, the Danny Perez's from Fresno Pacific to come play with us and his ability to potentially go pro, he's learning from all these players and really trying to take it to the next level. Another one is Chris Macias. He's right now on that edge of like going pro, but just needs a little bit more, and that's where the guidance comes in from myself, from Quincy, from other pro players that have been there. And Valdo is able to fund all that because he helps those kids with like, hey, you want $100 for a Sunday league game or whatever it is, because these kids, you know how it is in college life. It's tough for some of these kids. So that's what kind of Valdo brings to the table with the Kuala, and I'm beyond happy to be proud of that.
And then you touched briefly on giving your mentorship, and you do it through coaching. How would you describe your coaching style?
My coaching style would be play beautiful but very offensive. Okay, I'm very offensive player, very very offensive minded. So we score 4 or 5 goals, then it's okay if we get scored on 2 or 3 goals.
Yeah.
I'm not like, hey, park the bus and let's counter and we score 1-0. I think that's a very boring style. So I like our players. I coach, it's funny, I coach JV girls high school right now at LD. And if you see them play, it's amazing because they move the ball, the spacing, but most importantly in the final third, they're getting into the danger zones, they're getting into the high percentage areas and scoring a ton of goals. Last night we won 7-0, and it's very offensive minded. But I'm okay if we get countered and figure it out from there.
Yeah.
So even with the Kuala, same thing. We go offensive. The 2013 boys that I coach at Sigma, same thing. If we get scored on 2 or 3 goals, we better score 5 or 6.
Yeah. And then what does your typical training session look like to make this a reality when you get on the pitch?
So I have a curriculum that I created that I go by.
Okay.
It's a 10-step phase. For example, the first phase, it's a little bit of how to build out of the back, right?
Okay.
And my training sessions are tailored to specifically that. So, I get into the rondo. I'm a huge believer in rondo. They do rondo, they warm up, they do their stretching. It's dailies. I always do dailies just to make sure the players are sharp. So it's some type of dailies, whether it's circling around, partner up, and then, it's right foot instep, left foot instep.
Okay.
And us as coaches, my assistant coaches, we're correcting the technique. We're making sure that they're spot on with, hey, instep, the toe is up, not down, etc. And then from there, we go into a passing exercise. The passing exercise is not just like, okay, you get into a square and go in a square or a triangle. We don't do that. So in the passing exercise that we do, it's specific to the formation that we're running, right?
Okay.
I like to run a 4-5-1. So, I'll have cones set up with center backs, right back, holding mids, and the passing routine is, okay, to the right back, to the center back, to the holding mid, and then you have to dribble around as fast as you can. That's the fitness part of it, right?
Okay.
So that's the passing part of things. And then you get into the objective side of things, right? So you have your back four, your 2 holding mids, okay? And then now it's what type of session you're going to do. So I like to play it in and then have 2 or 3 players pressure them. Okay, now can we connect 5 passes and get it to the wingers, And now you're forcing them to, when you're under pressure, how do you build out of the back? How do you do that, right? And so that's just like phase 1.
Okay.
You get into your switching point of attacks, in the offensive third, or in danger zones, high percentage area, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when you piece all of those together, then as a coach, once they're doing everything, then you can just sit on the bench, relax, and let them work their magic.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, it's tough. It's tough to get them to understand all that.
Yeah. And then when did you realize coaching was your calling?
It kind of just fell into my lap, man. It really did. I was playing professionally at Charleston, and off season, it was just I came back and I started working, and the coach, it's funny, his name is Michael Jordan, okay? He's at a Farmersville high school. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he just asked me, hey, dude, these kids I think would really benefit from someone like you to, guide them and stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, let's do it. I went out there and, it was kind of cool because the faces when I showed up, they were kind of like, whoa, like a celebrity. And I'm only playing second division, right? And it kind of hit home. I'm just like, wait, I'm from Farmersville. I'm from a small town, and I was able to make it out. And now I can help these kids make it out. And, Farmersville's tough.
Yeah.
There's a lot of drugs, violence, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, so it's very tough. But I started coaching that year, and I loved it. And I was like, this is awesome. This is awesome. I like this. I like to, share my knowledge with these kids and help them understand it. And so for me, that was like, whoa. So that's when I really started, coaching and everything. And so it became a thing. And then it wasn't until maybe I was 26 or 27.
Okay.
It was closer towards retire or the end of my professional soccer career that I was just I would really like to make coaching a living.
Yeah.
And started looking at it, and I'm like, whoa, coaches can actually make good money if you're good at it.
Yeah.
So I studied, I watched soccer. I can't even watch soccer now as a fan. I watch it to analyze. I analyze everything about it, at every level. I don't care if it's AYSO. I'm looking, I'm like, oh, that kid, he should have moved here, blah, 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 right? Yeah. And so now my mind is in that mode. So every single time I watch soccer, every night I watch highlights, I'm just soccer minded nonstop. And now it's just analysis on analysis. So yeah, I'm stuck in it. That's my game. That's what I become an expert at, and I hope to continue getting better at it,
Yeah. Would you say it's taken some of the joy out of it though, just being in that analytical mindset all the time?
Absolutely. It's funny because, me and my girlfriend tried to look at the game, and we're just like, hey, let's not try to analyze it. Let's just become a fan,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm over here like, Rev, come on, man, you know? And like, dude, what was that, bro? Better pass, you
Yeah.
know? And I'm looking at, like, I'm trying to look at it as a fan, but I do come back and like analyze certain things. I'm just like, nope, let's watch it. And to be fair, it was so fun, like, to just see it as like from a fan point of view, you know?
Yeah.
It was very fun and I enjoyed it. And so hopefully I can get into that mindset, but right now it's just still analyze how to get better.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was fun though.
And then how did your time as a player shape who you are now as a coach?
It was, you know what? I think becoming a coach while I was a player
Okay.
was very beneficial to me. Okay. So it was like, I never really had I didn't know anything about nutrition, how to prep for a game, how to do anything like that, like getting into the professional ranks, you know? And I think that's one thing that really helped me was, you know, after that off season and I became a coach, that second season at Charleston, I did even better because I would see, okay, as a coach, what would I do? You know, I would have this player
Yeah.
do this, so that's what I need to do. That's my movement, et cetera, et cetera. And so, you know, the coach there, Mike Anhauser, is amazing. He was like a second father to me. He, you know, he was very strict and knew how to bring out the best in me. And it was just like, it was amazing. I mean, I always say the story, but my first professional meal as a team with Charleston Battery, okay, my rookie year, we're all at lunch, the whole team, and everyone has a salad, get a pita wrap, sandwich, whatever, right? I ordered a double bacon cheeseburger with fries and a Coke, bro. And I was just like, bro, like, what am I doing, you know? And for me, it's like, dude, this is normal. Like, I was never shown
Yeah.
like to eat properly or nothing. You know, even at Fresno Fuego, before my games, I would have a Big Mac, fries, and a Coke and go and ball out,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So it was just that natural ability to play good. And when I was at Charleston, coach pulled me to the side. He's cussing me out, bro. He's like, what the are you doing, bro? Like, you know, like, I could easily terminate your contract. And I'm just like, I saw nothing wrong in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, you know, he tells me, look at everybody else. Look what they're eating. They're being true professionals. And I'm just like, yeah, whoops. And yeah, he made me eat the cheeseburger in front of everybody. He goes, you're going to eat it. He goes, you're going to eat that. And then you're going to know now never to order that again. It's like, you got it, boss.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those things. I'm like, okay, I never want a player that's under my wing to ever go through that again.
Yeah.
You know, so I teach them the ways. And even though I'm not the best at eating habits, like, I still teach them. I was like, hey, don't do this. I'm retired now professionally.
Yeah.
I still play every now and then for fun, you know. I don't, like, I eat whatever. And I want the kids to be able to be like, no, like, don't do that. You got to eat properly, hydrate properly, take care of your body, et cetera, et cetera.
And then staying sort of in the youth realm, what's your opinion on youth development when it comes to, there's a big debate right now on development, on whether we should do a technical based training or a tactical based training in youth development. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, it's funny you say that because I did see a video the other day. I want to say he was Argentinian, the coach, and he talked about how, like, hey, and he showed a little video, if your team is playing this way and it's like boom, boom, pass,
Yeah.
move, pass, move, pass, move, right? And everything. And he goes, if your coach is doing it that way, it's the wrong way. Okay, the coach, and he goes, that means your coach wishes to coach professional soccer and can't get there.
Yeah.
You know? And the way he was explaining it was like, this is the true way to develop players. And he showed a video clip of just individualism. The ball, he would dribble,
Yeah.
he would, you know, just very South American style, you know? And for me, it's like, there has to be a balance.
Yeah, definitely.
I think if you can connect those two, it's like spot on. You know, for me, I teach my players to, in the defensive third, make sure we pass out, we don't take risk or anything like that. If you get in trouble, then use your individual ability to get out of trouble, right? Are you able to dribble out? Are you able to do whatever it is, you know? In the final third, and the word I use is magic. Go do your magic. My right winger, my left winger, my striker, my 10, those players, they all have that creativeness, you know, and that's why they play those positions. I'm never going to hold them back. A one-on-one, I'm not going to tell them, hey, don't take him one-on-one. Pass it and get around him. No, that's an option. You could pass it, get around, but I want you to go and take him. Make him fear you, you know? Make him like Vinny. Can you imagine defending Vinny or knowing you had to defend Vinny the whole freaking game?
Yeah.
Like that's a nightmare for people, man. You're just like, and imagine a coach that would take that away from Vinny. It's just like, no, don't do that, dude. Don't use your or Neymar or like one of those players, you know. And so for me, it's like you have to have a balance. So yes, we do play tactically, but in the final third, it's magic. Your individualism, get it done, you know.
Yeah.
So at Sigma, we try to teach that. We try to teach like, hey, there has to be a balance of when to know, when not to, right? So it's an understanding of them of when to do their magic and when to play, you know, the tactical side of soccer. So yeah, that is a good question, and that can be debated for forever, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody has different mindsets. Everyone like thinks a certain way, and they think that's the right way. And I think that's why soccer's so beautiful, though, because I don't think there's a right way, but I think there's a wrong way.
Yeah.
You know, I do believe there's a wrong way, and there can be a lot of things in the wrong way. It can be like the style of kick and run, and you're just smashing people. You're just fouling it. You're physical. Like for me, I think that's even though it is a style, for me, I think that's the wrong way. You know, but it can disrupt the prettiness of soccer, and it could be effective.
Yeah.
Right. It just all depends. You know, I go as far. I would ask you, what do you think is the right way? Would you do more tactical or technical in your sessions in your game?
For me, I go more tactical depending on the age. Like I said, I've worked with 3-year-olds all the way up to semi-pros. So most of the time for like 3 to 5, 6-year-olds, mostly a bit of technical, and then from there on up, mostly tactical with just a bit of technical mixed in from time to time. Just because the few methodologies that I've learned and picked up from other people tend to do more tactical, and they're more based off of neuroscience, I guess, and the ability to, if we develop the tactical, we understand where the space is going to be. And I kind of feel like technical can always be done on your own as well. You know, you can always get a ball and go find a wall. You can always, I only have you 2 sessions, maybe 3 sessions a week in a team environment, unless you're like an academy setup where I have you every day. I get you 2 days a week, maybe 3 days a week for 3 or 4 hours. So I need to figure out, can we get our team shape right? Can we get the pressing structures right? Can we do these sort of things? And then the technical, like I said, you can always, you can get 1,000 touches a day at home, dribbling around your house, spending some time juggling, going outside, even just passing with a parent, passing off with somebody, all that is good stuff. And I think I always say, technically, you're never done developing. You still see Messi and Ronaldo out on the pitch, training technically, improving technically. And tactically, you're always trying to evolve as well. You look at somebody like a Luka Modric, who's, 40. He's still evolving and still playing at a very good level, but it's through his evolution tactically. So just things like that. But I say, I think you have to, for me, I start with more of a tactical base.
Nice. Yeah, I like what you said, especially like in the beginning. I think kids, when they're really young, I think we have to hit heavy on the technical side of things, because it creates like the good technique to be able to pass a ball, to dribble and everything, right? Because when you try to do tactically, it's very difficult when you're trying to do it and a kid cannot control the ball, right? Or anything like that. So there has to be a good balance. And you're absolutely right. I think once you get to a certain age and they know the technical ability already, now it's about just staying sharp. That's why Ronaldo and all them, they do practice the technical, but it's just to stay sharp. So when the ball comes in, 9 out of 10 times, it's perfect. They do mess up because they're human, right? Well, Messi might not be human, but the rest of them like are human, right? And so it's just, I really liked what you said there.
And then staying kind of in the youth realm, how would you fix youth development in America? A lot of people tell me it's above our pay grade, but we all have different thoughts and opinions on it. So what's your opinion on it?
I think we need it. I think USA has too big of an ego.
Okay.
And I think we are trying to create soccer our own way, like rewrite soccer. Because if you look like, I'm not sure if you've ever taken like grassroots or any of that stuff, right? Yeah. So I look at all that and I'm just kind of like, man, like, have you not seen like South America or Europe, like what they do, what they're doing? Like, why can't we adopt that? why can't we adopt that and bring that here? Like obviously it works, like we're literally trying to do something that is not proven. And sure, you know what? Let's roll the dice and let's see what happens. Okay. But if it doesn't happen, now we're still years behind like everything. And I think that's where we're messing up as a culture here, the pay to play system. I mean, I'd be hypocritical if I say like I'm against it, because to be honest, like, obviously I do private sessions, I do this, that, where, it's my livelihood and whatnot. However, like I do think we're way too expensive here in the States. And I think like a lot of really good soccer players are street ballers that, they have nothing else to do at home because they don't have, the Xbox, they don't have the Switch, they don't have all that. So instead they're outside playing. They're outside playing with the soccer ball. They're getting better. However, they can't go on a club team because they just can't afford it, right? Or the parents are not, they're not involved in their development or any way or form, right? So is there a way to create something like that, At Sigma, that's something we're really trying to work on. It's creating the facility, making all that happen. And we're even talking about, bus routes where we have a bus driver going and picking up these kids at their homes to be able to bring them to the facility to learn, to I hate to say it, but like to get away from home sometimes. I was a player that I did not want to be home. My parents were something else, and I just, I was raised by my grandparents, so I did not want to be home. I wanted to get away from the streets. I wanted, all that stuff. So it was just soccer. So that's something that we're trying to hopefully do at Sigma, is to be able to adopt that European style, that South American style, find a balance, find what's going to work for us here, and really be different, really be different, and try to hopefully it's a stepping stone right now, but it becomes something so solidified that people start adopting it around the US, and hopefully that helps our culture, because I do want U.S. soccer to succeed, man. I really do. Like, I hate it that we have so much, like, talent and whatnot, but we just see it the wrong way, man. We really do. We just care about big, fast, physical players versus, like, the technical side of things, And that one obviously hurts me a little bit more because I'm 5'7", dude. So when I was trying to go to the MLS and everything, that's the first thing they would say is, like, he's too small, Yeah. And same thing, U.S. Luckily, I had a coach that was like, dude, this kid can play. This kid can play, like, let's give him a shot, and I went to play, my first year, I won Rookie of the Year. Like, it was just, we're championship game MVP. We won the championship. I had 8 goals, 12 or 13 assists or something like that in my first year. Like, and as a 5'7", we stand in line to do the national anthem. You see all these towers, and you see Chiva and then everybody else, and it's just like, yeah. So I think we just look at it the wrong way here in the States, man, and there's a lot of fixing to do, but it starts from the top, right? It starts from the top, and I think they need to get the right people in there.
And then we're both from here in the Central Valley here in California. There are many talented ballers out here, man, but there aren't always a lot of opportunities. So what can we do to bring more attention to the Valley? But also, how can we better shape players so that they succeed when the opportunities do come about?
Yeah, perfect question, and that kind of goes back to what we're trying to do at Sigma, is to be able to create these tournament teams, or some people would call them all-star teams or whatever it is, but to be able to go to these tournaments with all the local talent, and sure, we do bring some from outside, sometimes the Sac Republic kids come and guest play, but that also shows these kids like, hey, this is the level you need to be at, right? Like, this is the level you need to be at, and this is where we need to go. And so that's where we're trying to become here in Visalia, really, in the Central Valley, to be able to give those opportunities, because we have academy at LAFC, at San Jose, but that's 3-hour drive. That's a 6-hour drive for some families, man, that they had to go over there to go get that opportunity. And, we want to be able to have it here, to be able to, I'm not saying we're going to become an MLS team, no, but what I'm saying is, like, we want to become that academy where they do the exact same trainings and everything exactly the same way at, half the cost or whatever it is, because, those MLS teams charge a lot. And that goes back to, like, okay, like, these MLS teams, if you guys really were about the academy, why don't you guys do it for free?
Yeah.
Like, get all these ballers and let them do it for free. You have the funds for it. So why not? It's just another way to like make money. And again, I know that sounds hypocritical because, I do youth sports and everything and get paid for it. But still, like, they're on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
If I ever got to that level and I have all these sponsorships and everything like that, then yes, of course, these kids, let's get all the best kids. We're not going to charge anything. Why? Because I do know once one or two or three of them make it into the big leagues, other teams pay for that stuff.
Yeah.
And now it kind of offsets. And guess what? This kid created an opportunity. Now you create an opportunity for somebody, and now soccer's evolving from a kid in the U.S. that can potentially play on the national team and help us win, God, hopefully a World Cup one day.
Yeah, like I said, I know a few players who have made it out of the valley. You have like Max Arfston up in Fresno and a few other guys who are starting to pop up in the MLS from here in the valley. I think there's one from Hanford and different areas. But I know a lot of the players come out of Fresno.
Max Eek, yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of the players come out of Fresno, and that's a great opportunity. But it's also hard because even like in Fresno's the 5th largest city in California, and there's still very few players that make it out, and it's a matter of how do we bring ice to the Central Valley, like I said, because even if it's the 5th largest city and you still only see 1 or 2 players maybe make it out every year or every few years, coming from, you're from Farmersville, I'm from Tulare, there's, how do we get people from the smaller cities, even smaller, or like a place like Tipton or a Pixley or all these little places, because some of those places have really, really good players, that maybe don't get a chance to even play JUCO around here or even more than that, and some of these players definitely can do it.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. Is like, I don't think we have anything in this area to be able to do so,
Yeah.
I think what kind of helped us out, when I was growing up was the Fresno Fuego.
Yeah.
When, the ownership was a little bit different and everything. And, Jeremy Schultz was running it. He was doing a great job of getting players to the next level. And we had that and it disappeared. It disappeared. And then, we got this new ownership of Fresno FC, and became Zorros. And that folded because they weren't doing a proper job. Then we have Central Valley Fuego that came in. And same thing, they folded. Like, they couldn't do it right. So now it's literally, we had to have an ownership that, like, back to the Fresno Fuego days, man. The Bill Cummings, the Alvarezes, like all them that were invested and they're so passionate about the game and wanting to do it right. They see it more as a soccer like minded game and just soccer, not a business.
Yeah.
And all these ownerships, they come in and see it as a business, and I think that's where it fails, man. If we have something similar to, and I don't know if you saw like the recent news about, in 2028, we're hoping to bring USL back to Fresno.
Yeah.
And if that happens, that's going to be amazing. Like, I just hope they pick the right ownership to be able to create chances for players that, like you said, are from Pixley, Tipton, Farmersville, Lindsay, like all these areas, I mean, Visalia has a ton of talent, but where can we see it? Like, we can't see it anywhere because there's no platform for us to see it.
Yeah, definitely. And then, how have you seen the soccer culture grow in America? You've been in the game a long time. How have you seen the soccer culture grow here in the States?
I think the youth side has grown a lot.
Okay.
I think the youth side has grown a lot. Like, I think there's a lot more opportunity club-wise. I think growing up, I only had heard of like Visalia Vipers, and that was pretty much it, back in the day. And I didn't play proper club ball till I was 16 years old. And I played in Odyssey.
Yeah.
Now we have clubs here. We have South Valley United. We have Central Valley Premier. We have City FC. We have Tulare Forest. We have South Valley Chivas. We have all these clubs now, which is great because, like, literally it gives opportunity for all these kids. It gives opportunities, and it's just like, I love to see that, and each club has different mindsets, and it like tailors to whatever those families need, and that's one thing I really like. Certain family will not like, South Valley, but will love CVP.
Yeah.
And some families won't like CVP, but will love South Valley because of what they're doing. It's all tailored to whatever they want, and I think that's like one thing that's very beneficial to to soccer heads here. Because if we only had like one club and it's either like you love it or hate it, then I think, now the kid is not playing. Now we lose, kids and et cetera. And what we need is more kids to play. That's the reality. Because when there's a bigger pot of kids to play, then there's a more chance that kid can go and play professional ball, right?
Yeah, definitely. And then you touched on the different clubs. Usually it's a difference of culture. What's something you try to implement culture-wise in your teams or in the organizations you're part of?
It's I think I had a coach this past tryouts that said, "Man, it's like kids don't even try out no more. The parents are looking for the best deal."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, "What?" And I started thinking about that. I was like, "Yeah, like you know what? A lot of parents go and they see their kid like, okay, their kid's good, but what can the club offer me for me to come here?" And I'm just like, man, like, how about you put your kid in the best position for him or her to develop? For me, I don't necessarily look at clubs of like how they're structured or anything like that, because I think everybody has their faults. Every club has their downsides. They have their upsides, but they have their downsides. What I tell parents all the time is like, look at the coach. Look at the coach, look at the coach, look at the coach. If the coach is good and your kid could develop under him or her, please take him there. I think parents also get blindsided by, hey, this team is amazing. They're great, but this coach is horrible,
Yeah.
but is a very good scout and poaches kids from here and there to create like the best like team per se. But now it's just like, okay, you're not getting any development at training because all they do is scrimmage, because all it is a bunch of good players. Like, how is your player really developing from that, right? And for me, it's like I have to put all the right coaches to be able to like be a successful club for me. So I have a lot of like younger kids right now, and I call them kids because I'm already older, but 22, 23-year-olds that want to make coaching, a career. And so I want to get to the point where they're able to do that, where they don't have to work part-time job, full-time job, whatever it is. It's just coaching, and that's what you focus on. That's your expertise. And the ones that benefit from that are the kids and families. So at Sigma, that's what we're trying to do, is to be able to get very great coaches and make sure this is all they focus on, just soccer, soccer, soccer. And we're going to pay the right amount of money for you to coach soccer and coach the kids and just be amazing at it, because then the kids are going to benefit from it.
And you touched briefly on younger coaches. What advice would you have for a younger coach like myself or other young coaches?
I think for younger coaches is make sure like your voice is heard, right? And what I mean by that is like, I think the younger coaches are a little bit shy and they're not as loud like on the field, whatever it is, and it doesn't show the energy or whatever, right? And I have a coach right now. His name's Gabe. Gabe is really good with like the soccer side of things,
Okay.
But when he talks to the players, it's very quiet. All right, guys, bring it in, like like little things like that. And for me, it's like kids feed off your energy. So when you're like, all right, boys, bring it in, let's go, come on, let's go, and you start going. So those are like the little things that I'm teaching him, Then obviously it's like the structure of the sessions and all that good stuff. So for me, if I had to give advice to a younger coach, I would tell him confidence is key. Confidence is key, because if you show a little bit that you're not confident in what you say, even though if you're wrong, who cares? If you lack confidence, the players will read on that energy, and even the families will, and they won't trust you. They won't trust you, So that's the advice I would give them.
That's a great piece of advice right there. Your playing career took you all over the United States. What did your typical day look like as a pro in the USL, if you can recall that?
Yeah, it was a lot of traveling for sure. I think I've been to like 38 states, I've been to like 7 or 8 countries. It's been amazing, different cultures, awesome. Training day for Chiva at Charleston Battery. It was, wake up, my coffee, of course, coffee, go to training. It was be there at 9, training from 10 to 12. And then, a little bit of recovery, which was ice bath or stretching or whatever it was. Then I would go get a meal, play Xbox, take a 2-hour nap, 3-hour nap, wake up, watch some TV shows, back to Xbox. That was a life. That was life, right? And so, I mean, in between there was stretching and you know, push-ups, sit-ups, whatever, like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But it was a lot of like training, you know. Game days, I had my rituals where, you know, I hop in the morning, make sure I ate that right. Then, you know, watch soccer, then take another nap because, you know, resting was huge for me. I was a big believer in like nap before a game.
Okay.
So you feel you wake up
Yeah.
refreshed and just, you know, your mind is right. Yeah. Yeah, and always chew gum. I know that sounds weird, but always chew gum during the game. When you chew gum during the game, it gets your mind right and it like helps you focus big time, big time.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah. Yep.
And then what was your toughest moment as a pro and what did it teach you?
My toughest moment as a pro. I think my toughest moment as a pro, I'm going to use two examples.
Okay.
One, I think it came down to the decision of, you know, Orlando City had asked me to terminate my contract at Charleston Battery. That way I could sign with Orlando, and Orlando was the top team in the USL at the time because they were going to go MLS. So they were paying players all kinds of money and everything, right? I had one more year at Charleston, and to be honest, it was like a great contract, one of the highest paid players in the league because of what I was doing and everything. And I terminated it. To be able to go to Orlando City. Well, Orlando pretty much said, never mind, we got someone else. So I got stuck in limbo.
Yeah.
I got stuck in limbo and didn't have a team, you know? And at that point, I came back, played for Fuego, and, you know, luckily, well, I don't mean in a bad way, but luckily for me, it was Charleston was in last place. They were in last place that season, and the coach reached out to me, and he goes, hey, like, I saw you're playing Fuego. Like, are you willing to come back? I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know? So came back and did amazing, man. We went like on 11, 12 game winning spree. Like that was all they're missing is that 10 role, you know? And so I was able to help fill that in, and everybody else around me was amazing. You know, we had Michael Chang, which MLS player, you know, Michael Zira, MLS player. They were all there at the time, so it made it easy for me to really succeed there. So that time I was like, dude, such a kid. I mean, I was trying to look at the next step going forward, you know? So and life's full of hard decisions, so I did that, you know. The other decision for me was I was playing at Zorros, you know, I was playing at Fresno, and I get a video chat of, you know, my daughter taking her first steps, and I was in Oklahoma. We're in Oklahoma playing them, and I'm like, bro, what am I doing? My daughter's taking her first steps, and I missed it because I'm playing, you know, USL right now. I'm 28 years old. Like, I'm towards my downfall already. Like, I was still playing good ball, but I wasn't in the best situation, if I'm being honest. Like, just soccer wise, you know, I was playing well, but I wasn't starting because, you know, coach had his players, and I'm just like, man. And I'm not one to quit, bro. But that year, I called it quits early. I didn't even finish the season. I said, you know what? I need to be around my daughter more. I want to be around my daughter more, and I did that. So that was probably the toughest time is me realizing like my professional career is over.
Yeah.
You know, it's over, and now I'm a family guy. Yeah, so I think that was the hardest part.
Yeah. I mean, there's always more to life than soccer. You know, I think we do get, you know, it is very much soccer is life because we wouldn't be who we are without it. But there is definitely still more to life
Yeah.
than soccer. And I think eventually we kind of realize that.
Yeah.
Whether, you know, at a certain point your playing career does kind of, or aspirations, I should say, to keep going at a higher level, I think kind of run out, and you start to realize, hey, maybe there's more to life than just soccer.
Yeah, that's very well put, man. You know, again, I come from parents that were really never around, so a family thing for me wasn't like normal, right?
Yeah.
But it's something I always like craved, I always wanted, you know. And so for me, it's like it was an easy decision to leave soccer and be with my family. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted that. So yeah, and you're absolutely right, man. I think family is like the most important thing, you know?
And
It
then,
really is.
yeah. And then during your career, you did accomplish a lot, though. You were the Rookie of the Year in the USL. You won the USL Championship. You were the USL Championship game MVP. You were named in the best 11 players. But what was key in your development as a player to achieve this level of success?
I think the mindset.
Okay.
I think my mindset of, some people call it arrogance, some people call it cockiness. I call it, some people call it how do they say it? Egotistical or whatever. And I'm just like, dude, if I stepped on the field, my mindset was I'm the best player on the field,
Yeah.
and watch this. I'm going to show you why I'm the best player, you know? I remember going into the training room, and Bobby, the trainer, you know, I tell him, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be rookie of the year, bro. You know, and the captain walks in. He goes, what? I was like, yeah, I'm going to be rookie of the year, dude. And he goes, man, you know how hard it is to get that? I was just like, yeah. He goes, this guy's crazy, right, Bobby? And Bobby just starts laughing, you know? But Bobby was like, yeah, bro, you got it. And I'm just like, so that was a little niche too. It was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to prove this guy wrong. So I took that to heart. I had a chip on my shoulder, and bro, it was what, 28 games. I started 27 of them. The only game I didn't start was like an Open Cup game. We were playing a lower division team, but every game I started, every game I went out there with a purpose. I wanted someone to go home and be like, dude, do you remember that freaking little Mexican player that was baller? So that's what I wanted people to go home with, you know? And I think that mindset needs to happen a lot with like even the youth. You know, they need to be able to step on the field and to be able to have that confidence of just like, hey, I'm the best player, watch this. Because for me, it's like a confident player is the most dangerous player. That just means they're going to try everything and do everything in order to win, you know?
Yeah.
So I think the mindset was like the biggest part of like doing all that, you know? It was rookie of the year, but for that goal, like, to be honest, I wasn't even thinking like being the champions or anything like that, because I saw Orlando. Orlando was crazy good, you know? And I was just like, it's going to be very difficult to beat them. And so I wasn't even thinking that, you know? I wasn't even thinking best 11. I wasn't even thinking any of that, let alone championship game MVP. You know, I had got injured in the quarterfinal that year. I pulled my hamstring, and, you know, the second game in semis, I tried to play 30 minutes and pulled it again. And so then, you know, in the final, like I had rested the whole time. I had did like some medication to try to help it out and everything. And it was maybe 78 minutes where I finally couldn't go anymore.
Yeah.
My hamstring gave out again, you know, 78 minutes in. And at that time I had got the assist. We're winning 1-0 in the championship. And I looked back at the video and I was like, dude, I actually played really well, you know, considering like I couldn't sprint. Like I played the whole game without sprinting, a professional game without sprinting. That's wild to me. And so it was just one of those things where I was just like, man. And I remember 78th minute, and it was a throw-in, and I was like, I can't go no more, and I can't be selfish. Like I got to be able to sub out and let someone else come in and finish the game off. So I just went back and I fell, and I just fell back, and they stopped the game, you know. And trainer Bobby came on, and he was just like, well done, dude. You did what you could. You know, let's get out of here. I stand up, and the whole stadium stands up and applauded me, and I was like, holy, what a feeling.
Yeah.
You know, it was such an amazing feeling. And then yeah, you know, at the end they're doing the ceremony, and they're like championship game MVP, and I didn't even know I got it. I'm talking to my teammate, like just celebrating and everything, and he goes, hey bro, you go. I'm like, what? And I go, and the president like hands it to me, and I'm like, what's this? He goes, oh, you got champion. I was like, yeah. You know, going all crazy. But yeah, it was a great accomplishment, and it led to a lot of good things, you know, MLS tryouts and everything. So it was good.
And then you touched on awesome feelings. I think, you know, the game brings us a lot of awesome feelings, but what made you fall in love with the game?
I was always around it, man. I think there was one time my grandma forced my dad to take me to his Sunday league game. And I remember I had the ball, and my uncle was the goalie, right? And my uncle, I loved my uncle, you know, and he was a goalie. He was amazing, man. Freaking flying everywhere. And I wanted to be a goalie. So I was a goalie. I was a goalie for the first 12 years of my life. And there's literally one game where we're losing 3-0 against the top team in the league. Like it was just like a little rec league or whatever, right? But we're there, and the coach had just kind of given up, and he goes, hey dude, do you just want to be on the field, you know? He goes, you want to play on the field? And I was like, sure, like whatever, you know? Bro, I had 3 goals that game. We tied 3-3. I never saw the goal again. I stayed on the field the entire time ever since then. Yeah. And so even in middle school, I started playing on the field and realized I was really good at it.
Yeah.
So I just upped my game even more, you know? And thank God, because there's no way I would have been a goalie in the professional level at 5'7", man. No shot. So yeah, I think a little bit of my uncle was the inspiration to start the game, and then the rest is kind of just on my own, you know.
Yeah, interestingly enough,
Yeah.
there is a goalie in Venezuela who's also like 5'7" as well. He plays for the national team. He plays in the
Really?
French first division, if I remember correctly. You should check him out. I'll have to
That's
try to
wild.
remember his name, but he is about 5'6", 5'7". He's a keeper for the Venezuelan national team.
Well, how tall was Jorge Campos?
Yeah,
I don't think he was that
about
tall.
5'8", I think as well.
Yeah, Conejo, like those are
Yeah,
the shorter ones.
yeah,
But like again, it comes down to the percentage, right?
yeah,
Like 0.001% make
yeah.
it. So yeah, no, I needed to be on the field.
And then when it's all said and done in soccer as a coach, I mean your time as a player is as a pro player at least is finished. What do you want to be remembered for when it's all said and done?
I think I want to be remembered as someone that was that spread their knowledge
Okay.
throughout the community. You know,
Yeah, definitely.
um, I know I want to be known for that. Is like I was able to help everybody at any level. You know, whether whatever status you have, I don't care. I just want to be able to help. If your kid loves soccer, I want to be able to help him or her,
Yeah,
make it to the next level or whatever it is, or just give them good experience. And I think so far I've done that everywhere I've gone. I think I've left a staple in every club that I've been to, and even at the indoor facility at 1852. Try to do my best to create an amazing environment for the community here. Where Jeremy Schultz is doing like an amazing job there. And so now like I was with Rob at CVP, and it was a great experience there, and I had to move on to the other projects that I was working on, and now I'm with Alex Arsenal that has the Sigma. He's the president, and he's the one like really backing everything for what we're trying to do, which is awesome.
and then what life advice would you give to somebody on their life journey?
It's where they say create your own luck and all that stuff,
Yeah,
right? You could create your own life that you really want to, and everything. I used to think that was like a fake. I'm like, no, like God has a path for you, and he's see if it, but he really does have a path for you and puts opportunities there. It's just if you're gonna take it or not,
okay,
right?
yeah,
So for me, I think it's like, yeah, I think for me, it's if you really want it, go get it. Like it's a mindset, man. Everything's a mindset. If you really want to, go get it. There's nothing that can stop you. It's so crazy to say, but here in United States especially, we are the land of opportunity.
yeah.
Like there's no excuses other than if you don't want it that, then you don't want it that bad. You're either lazy or you're just like, I'm okay. I settled. So yeah, I think that would be my point of advice, is just if you want it that bad, go get it.
That's great advice. I have some quick fire questions so we can get to know you a little bit better on a more personal note. What's your favorite genre of
Get it.
music or favorite artist?
I'm gonna go ahead and say corridos.
Corridos.
I'm very Mexican, man. Corridos or like Ramon Ayala, anything with Ramon Ayala, anything.
Great choices there. And then what's your favorite club or what club do you support?
Man City. I'm a Man City fan. Pep Guardiola's. I mean, I go after his look, bro. Pep Guardiola. So yeah. I'm a huge fan of what he does. I think a lot of people hate on him because they're like, oh, he has the best players and the most money and everything. I'm just like, dude, that's hard.
Yeah,
Manage all those egos
yeah,
and manage all those players. Like, you guys don't see that part? That part's hard. And he brings out the best in every single one of those players.
yeah,
Like, dude, come on. So, Man City, I mean, Real Madrid is also my team, but in Champions League, I had to say Man City.
yeah. I had a coach tell me that most of the best coaches are bald, but they're bald because when you're in the youth game, a lot of the youth coaches are bald because they've been in the game for too long. When you're in the youth game for too long, you start to lose your hair.
Stressful. Stressful, man. Stressful, I'm telling you. Luckily, I have the beard. Hopefully, this doesn't go away, man.
And then who's your favorite player of all time?
Ronaldinho.
Ronaldinho.
Ronaldinho is just oof. I literally would get up every morning, watch when they used to have Gold TV, and I would watch the reruns, the highlights, the everything with Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
Amazing player, you know. Right now it's Ronaldo. Ronaldo's Ronaldo, man. That's my favorite player.
And then sometimes people have a different idol than they do favorite player. Who is your footballing idol if you have a different one?
Beckham.
Beckham?
Beckham's my idol just because of look what he's done,
Yeah.
you know? Like this homie is everything you want him to be, you know?
Yeah.
He's the Tony Stark of soccer. Like he really is. Like he's a baller, he has a lot of money, he's handsome, like, you know, we ugly over here. And this dude is just has it all, man. So idol, yeah, Beckham.
Yeah, that's a great pick as well. And then what's your favorite jersey of all time if you have a favorite kit?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would have to say Portugal's, dude. I'd have to look it up, but it's that like maroon burgundy-ish one.
Yeah.
Then might have been '06
Okay.
World Cup. I'd have to look, but it had the little circle here.
Yeah.
Had the circle and then the number inside of it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was that one, man. Yeah, but the Portugal one was unbelievable.
And then who's your favorite manager of all time? You're a coach as well. I think you'd probably go with Pep, of course. But maybe you have a different one.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think if there's like any really before him that I remember. Dude, I hate Mourinho's style, but I love his character.
Yeah.
His character's something else, man. Like he's entertaining.
Yeah.
You know, he's super entertaining to just like the stuff he does. You know, there's a ton of videos on him, and I would still have to pick Pep. It would be between Pep, Ancelotti, and Mourinho.
Okay.
Ancelotti just because of what he's done too. You know, Ferguson, sure, he did amazing at Manchester, but for me, I think 1 Pep, 2 Ancelotti, 3 Mourinho.
And then what's your preferred formation if you have one?
5-1.
4-5-1?
Some people call it 4-3-3. Yeah, some people call it 4-3-3, but it's 4 defenders, flat, never stopper sweeper. If you still do stopper sweeper, I'm sorry, man. 2 holding mids, 1 attacking, so kind of like a diamond,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And then 2 right wing, left wing, and then a solo striker. So offensively it becomes a 4-3-3 with 3 in the diamond in the middle,
Yeah.
and then these 2 get high. But defensively they tuck in, and then now, you know, it's a 4-5-1. So that would be my favorite.
And then what's your favorite jersey number to wear?
10.
10.
10. It's always been my favorite. 12, it's always, you know what, 12 has always been there for whatever reason. My birthday's June 12th, and I think 12 is kind of my, what do they call it? I forget what they call it. Something number, right? But Fuego, that was my rookie number. At Charleston, it was my rookie number. Like everywhere that I went, number 12 was always like there for me, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. My favorite is 10, but I think I'm supposed to say 12.
Well, that's all
Yeah.
the questions that I have for you today, Chiva. It was an honor and pleasure to have you on here to talk. I'll make sure that we put all your social media handles out there so that people can give you a follow and keep up with what you're doing with Sigma XFC and just see what you're doing coaching wise and stuff. But it was an honor and pleasure to have you on here.
Yeah, good things are coming, man, and I appreciate you having me. I love that I'm able to use such a good platform like yourself to be able to communicate what we're trying to do here at Sigma, and you know, get the community excited for what's to come.
Yeah, definitely. Well, till next time, Coach Peña.